This is a Nigerian urban love story about forbidden love that shattered a family. My name is Naomi. I never planned to fall for my sister's billionaire husband, but the heart wants what it wants, even when it destroys everything. In this emotional Nigerian story, you will discover how one secret kiss turned into an affair that changed all our lives forever. Stay with me, because by the end, you will have to decide, will you forgive me or hate me forever? If anyone had told me last year that my sister Precious will marry Nigeria's most eligible billionaire and that he would later look at me the way a man should never look at his sister-in-law, I would have laughed them out of my mother's kitchen. But here I am, adjusting the hem of my cheap chiffon gown at the back row of their wedding reception, trying not to choke on my envy or the guilt that comes with it. Let me start properly. My name is Naomi, 27 years, jobless. Unless you count freelance wig installation for stingy university girls as job. I'm the only daughter in the Okonkwo family without prospects. Precious, on the other hand, was everything our parents prayed for. A beauty queen with a law degree, strategic mind, and a knack for turning every conversation back to herself. And now she was Mrs. Raymond Cole, the Raymond Cole, billionaire entrepreneur, owner of Cole Holdings, the man whose face was always splashed across City People magazines. Tall, dark-skinned, broad shoulders. His smile alone could make a girl think dangerous thoughts. Not that I was thinking any of those thoughts, of course. I was simply observing, that's all. I sipped my malt and pretended to scroll through Instagram while I listened to their guests gush. Precious is so lucky, one auntie whispered behind me. Imagine marrying a man who could buy the whole of Lekki if he wanted. Eh, but he's too calm, another said. All that money and he doesn't even brag. Maybe he has some hidden sickness. I almost snorted out of my drink. Nigerians can never allow you to enjoy your blessing in peace. When Raymond stepped into the stage to give his thank you speech, the whole hall went quiet. He spoke in that deep cultured voice, thanking everyone for coming, praising my sister's compassion and grace. Words that sounded so perfect, you would think he wrote them on a golden scroll. Then, right at the end, his eyes swept the crowd and landed on me. Just for a second. I'm sure I imagined it. But my stomach did something I'm too ashamed to describe. I looked away so fast my neck nearly cracked. I shouldn't have come to this wedding. I really shouldn't have come. 2 weeks after the wedding, my phone rang as I was mopping in my flat. Unknown number. I was ready to ignore it until curiosity and boredom got the better of me. Hello, Naomi. This is Raymond Cole. I nearly swallowed my tongue. Raymond? He chuckled softly, and I swear I felt it in my bones. I hope you don't mind me calling. I got your number from Precious. She said you've been looking for opportunities, and I have a small project I think you'll be perfect for. My heartbeat went haywire. A project? Yes, Core Holdings is setting up a new foundation for girl child education. I need someone who understands the grassroots perspective, someone who can help connect authentically. Of course, business. What else would he call me for? Relief and disappointment tangled together. That's amazing, I stammered. But I would love to help. Good, he said, and there was a warm smile in his voice. I will have my driver pick you up tomorrow morning. We will talk details over breakfast. Breakfast with my sister's billionaire husband. If you think that sounds innocent, congratulations. You've never been dangerously close to temptation. The next morning, I wore my best blouse, a pale yellow chiffon number that used to belong to Precious. I almost felt guilty, but decided she wouldn't miss it. She had a whole wardrobe of designer's clothes now. Raymond's driver arrived precisely at 8 a.m. in a gleaming black Range Rover. The ride to his Ikoyi mansion was so smooth, it felt like gliding. I tried not to act like a bush girl as I ignored out the chandeliers, the Italian marble floors, the tasteful art on every wall. He met me in the dining room, wearing a crisp white shirt rolled up at the sleeves. He looked unfairly good for a married man. Naomi, he said, smiling like I was the most important person in Lagos. You look lovely. My tongue tied itself in a knot. Thank you. We spent the next hour discussing the foundation, but every so often our eyes will meet and hold, just a little too long. It was probably my imagination. Must be, because no man in love with his wife will look at her sister like that. When breakfast ended, he walked me to the door. As I stepped outside, he said softly, I'm glad you came today. My heart stuttered. Me too. And just like that, my ordinary life started to unravel. I tried to convince myself it was all professional, that I was simply grateful for the opportunity, that any spark between us was a figment of my restless, underemployed imagination. But when he started calling every evening to check on my progress, when he complimented my ideas and asked about my day, when he laughed at my jokes like they were actually funny, I began to worry. Worry because I was starting to look forward to those calls more than I should. Worry because sometimes late at night, I will remember the way he looked at me across that wedding hall. And worry because I knew sooner or later I would have to choose between loyalty to my sister and the feelings I was desperately trying to deny. 3 weeks into my new role, I was sitting in Raymond's home office, reviewing proposals when he stepped behind me to look at my laptop screen. Naomi, you have a sharp mind, he said, his voice low and close to my ear. You've done more in 3 weeks than my consultants managed in 3 months. I tried to focus on the screen, but the way he smelled, expensive cologne and something warm, made my brain scatter. Thank you, I muttered, clicking around just to do something with my hands. He didn't move away. In fact, he reached for the mouse to point something out, and his hand brushed mine. Just a brush. That was all it took. My pulse tripped over itself like a clumsy child. When I finally dared look at him, he was staring at me, his gaze too searching, too intense. Naomi, he began, voice husky. That was when Precious appeared at the doorway. I nearly threw the laptop off my lap. She was smiling, oblivious, in a flowing red kaftan. Babe, am I interrupting? Raymond straightened up so fast it almost made me dizzy. Not at all. We're just finishing up. I forced a smile. My cheeks were on fire. She eyed me briefly, then focused back on her husband. You'll be coming for dinner with my parents tonight, right? Of course, he said. I mumbled something about needing fresh air and all, but fled from the room. As I leaned against the wall in the corridor, heart hammering, one truth finally became clear. This was no harmless crush. And I was in so much trouble.